Before we start this video, I have my Patreon up, so go ahead and check that out if you want to support me. What I do now on the Patreon is I early release videos. So the video I currently have up on my Patreon is a video I'm releasing in about 3 days. It's called Selikano, Butler Love Story. Check it out. All right, let's get to the video. So genetics. Let's talk about them.
Allele.
Our gene pairs inherited from each parent, and when they interact with one another, those patterns are called inheritance patterns, such as, for example, an X-linked dominant inheritance, which is where the gene for a condition is dominant on said X chromosome. And as many of you may or may not know, females have XX chromosomes. Now, when it comes to inheritable conditions, what falls under this blanket term? Schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and major depressive disorder. Now, question, does nymphomania fall under the same terms? Yes, albeit since it is hypercompulsivity to sex, environmental factors can contribute to said affliction. However, it isn't the only reason. Just like a vast majority of all compulsions, life events and genetic traits also play a significant factor at the end of the day. Now you're probably wondering, what in the hell does any of this have to do with the show I'm reviewing today called Shikiyoku Infinite? Well, the reason I had to activate my smooth brain to explain how nymphomania can be genetic is because that is the entire plot and it is hinging on that one point alone. So yeah, what's up guys, I'm 47 here. Welcome to Watching for the Plot. What I essentially do is go through the catacombs of the darkest parts in internet fan rock videos and criticize them on the internet because I don't know what to talk about in the world. But if you do subscribe for more, boys, I'm gonna one of these days say that intro a little bit slower one time. Okay, so look, there is a family of four. The father is a businessman who is never seen, while the three women are home alone for the foreseeable future. And by home alone, I mean with one another. That's basically what I mean. I know the phrasing sounds off, but hear me out. Okay, Kurumi, the only girl who has a name that comes to mind, comes home with a fat, rotund 0 on one of her test papers. I don't know how she got a 0. Don't you get credit for your name? I don't know how that works. I haven't been in high school and, like, dear God, I don't remember how old I am. And her mother and sister saw that test and just responded accordingly. And after said hilarious banter ensued, Narumi drops this hot bar saying that her family is full of sluts and that whenever they participate in promiscuous activities, her blood boils. So again, I'm assuming the nymphomania is genetic in that aspect, which I proved it was, by the way. And by blood boiling, you can infer what needs to be inferred here, obviously. So at this point, we come to find out that one of the mother's prerogatives is to see her daughter utilize her bloodline accordingly. No, it's like if Itachi was a sex pest who wanted Sasuke to become the ultimate himbo and give him pointers. It's like that, essentially. So to knock out two birds with one stone, the mother decides to give Kurumi a tutor. And when Kurumi suggests that she needs some wink, wink, nudge, nudge alone time with the tutor, he immediately goes full throttle upon the advances that Kurumi gives to him. Now, it is a bit questionable, but the bar is so low that a smidgen of hesitation would deem him a beta cook by anyone in the scenario. Obviously, we live in a society. That's basically that. One thing I have to mention is that there are numerous instances where they play EDM over explicit scenes. If that's a thing you enjoy or don't, heads up. So moving on with the plot, the same scenario plays over and over, more or less, and the next scenario is with an Uber Eats guy. He goes in with little to no hesitation whatsoever, copulates, and then leaves. Now, I don't know how many of you guys played GTA 5 before and saw a girl shouting, "Ah, somebody help me!" And you go follow her after she shouts, and then next thing you know, some mobsters, gangsters pull up, blam blammo, your game over. Well, this pizza worker didn't even consider that could be a possibility because this is one of those too good to be true scenarios, right? You walk in, you're delivering food, and next thing you know, you're getting tended to yourself, like you're getting service for handing out service. That's still a couple more bing bang boom scenes later, and we come to the final scene of Kurumi and her mother in a taxi coming from yet another swinger party, and the mother's like, "Hey, driver, you're looking at me." And the guy's like, ma'am, I'm trying to maintain this 3-ton vehicle going at 50 miles per hour. And if I'm distracted for a mere second, I could crash just, oh, your shit's around. Okay. And that's the end. You can already assume what happens next. The mother just kicks the daughter out and just goes to town with the driver, and then the daughter has to explain to the sister where the mother's at, making up an alibi. I guess like loser's game, but I don't know. It's very it's a thing that exists on this timeline. So pretty much the whole aspect of the nymphomania potentially being genetic justifies the plot because again, that is what the entirety of the plot was based off of. I said that 40,000 times, but I had to look it up anyway. Honestly, I take this seriously. I don't know about you guys. Some of you guys may think this is a joke. I'm watching for the plot. I want to see the plot connect if it hinges, and well, this one did. While it is as explicit and wild and raunchy as it gets, it's still a congealed plot, and you can't criticize the plot for the show at all because it has continuity and it is consistent. Now, mind you, it's ridiculous as fuck. It probably should be, a little bit workshop, but that's beyond the point. Also, another thing I have to mention, when I was watching this, I was looking at the comments, and there's like a bunch of comments just roasting the fuck out of animation. But the thing is, right, a lot of animation critics, when it comes to like shows just like this in general, like even like not anime, like any other show, they criticize like any effects work if it is like 100% polished, realistic, like, right? And even if it is realistic, they'll say it's not realistic enough. Like, pretty much people are never satisfied until they're satisfied. Even if they are satisfied, they'll still find some nitpicky things to say. And I'm off on this tangent because I'm like, well, that looks a little bit weird. And then at the end of the show, they show manga panels, direct one-to-one comparisons, and literally it looks exactly like the manga, except brought in animation. It is the closest thing to a one-to-one adaptation that I have ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything this flawlessly done ever in comparison to the source material. I mean, it was just phenomenal. Now, they're not going to view that as a valid source of legitimate effects work, but to me, that is worth something noting. Alright guys, I don't have an outro, but if I did, it wouldn't matter because no one makes this far into the video. Good night.